Hey, here we are. Welcome back. Welcome back.
Are we
Me,
on that?
Captain George, and we got Sergio over here. He's doing a little computer work real quick, trying to get us shared out there so everybody can see us.
Yeah, with this new Facebook thing now, you got to individually share to every
Yeah,
group. That's
yeah.
insane, man.
But let me refresh a little bit because I see there's 8 people tuned in, and see if anybody's made a comment yet. Hey, there's Donald Alejandro. Good evening, guys. How you guys doing? Now, sometimes people get they're on Sergio's page, but I can't see them, and sometimes vice versa. So
And I don't know how
he'll.
that works, why that works that way.
I don't know if you got to be friends with the person to see it. I'm not sure, but hey, Ken Burke just tuned in, and anybody that I can't see, hello, good evening, thank you for
I thought you
tuning
back
in.
on vacation. I thought Ken was on vacation.
Might be his wife. Somebody, Ken Burke tuned in. Maybe he could be on vacation, but still watching us. True dedicated watcher.
It's true. Well,
Ken, are you on vacation right now? Are you someplace else? But so unfortunately or fortunately, the bait hatch has happened out there, and
yeah.
my goodness, there's a ton of. I mean, there's 1,000 million baits out there right now in the flats, but unfortunately, they're about an inch long.
Telling me. I should have taken a picture of my bait net today. My quarter-inch, 10-foot net, exactly like you said, looked like a Christmas tree.
Oh yeah, mine was the
Oh my
same way.
God. The
Now,
only reason some were falling off the net because there was no more holes to fill.
yeah, yeah. Oh, trust me, I threw mine a couple times with them guys stuck in there because it was about useless to take them out and just throw it again.
Jeez.
But I'll give everybody a tip here, a trick. So what I'll do when you get in that situation, you can go up to one of your rocket launchers on your T-top, or if you don't have that, anywhere where you can just tie your net up to a high spot. Then you take your dip net for your bait and you just run it down the side of the net. Hold your net open and run it, just rake it across it. And it'll knock 20, 30 at a time off your net real quick.
They're
And
going to just breaking their heads off so they can fall
yeah,
off.
yeah. And it works really well. It's a good little trick. And it makes the mess. Don't get me wrong, it makes the mess, but it's quicker than sitting there. I mean, you can sit there and shake, 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 and your arms will get tired after a while if you got to do that every time. But that raking the net, you got to figure that thing's 6 to 8 inches wide, and just raking right down the side and popping all those baits out of your net for you. It's a lot quicker. It still takes a little while because Sergio, you could attest, it was bad.
Oh my God. And then the thing is, the ones that fall into the bucket, there were so little that a 1/0 circle hook, it would kill them. I mean, I
Yeah,
bet you out of, must have been 600 baits, there was probably 20, 25 that we could use, and that's what we caught the fish on today.
right.
Because everything
Yeah.
else was so little that you put it on the hook and it was dead.
Yeah, they were small. The only thing good is if you remember after we had that red tide that was real bad for 14 months about 3 years ago, the bait, the quantities of bait wasn't as good. We weren't seeing it. Now, we've seen a lot of good bait a few weeks ago that were in that 2.5 to 3.5 inch range.
I mean, yeah, 2 weeks ago, they were just getting there.
And now this new hatch happened. But the only thing great to see is our bait is coming back. We're getting a lot more bait. I've seen a little bit of bait on Hula Bay Flat recently. So there was none there. I mean, you couldn't even find a bait over there. So maybe, next year, maybe that flat will come back to life.
Because it's been gone for about 2 years. There was nothing.
Yeah.
And I
Yeah.
mean, today, actually, the weather wasn't bad. It was a beautiful day.
Oh, yeah.
It's just that the bait was so small.
Oh,
You know,
yeah. Yesterday, too, the weather was the same way, 60% chance of rain. And, we fished all day yesterday, and today was the same way. And the, yesterday I went to 3 different spots, and the bait was about the same in all 3 spots. The last spot, um, it still had all those little fry baits, but there was at least a few more larger baits. And when I say larger, I'm talking 2.5 to 3 inch ones. And then I went out deep and I threw the net out in I think I was about 19 feet of water. And I got about 30 baits that were about 4.5 inches,
Kind of big.
kind of big, but they worked, you know. So I mean, between that and I probably had 30 or 40 of the other ones that were about 2.5 inches. So between those two, and then you just take a whole bunch of those little ones and spray them out there if you want.
That's what I did. I kept a bunch of little ones every so often. I would just squeeze them so they wouldn't float, and I was throwing them and let the current take them. But
Yeah.
I mean, we caught stingrays, we caught catfish. I mean, I tried cut pinfish on the bottom, and every cut pinfish
Yeah.
on the bottom, I caught a catfish.
Well, I'll tell you what, the catfish there's a lot more of them this year, and they've been very aggressive this year. I'm getting them on live baits, and what it is when your bait with the current, if it swings out from under the, like, if it's not near the trees, under the trees, and it swings out into open water, especially if there's sandy areas,
That's it.
the sandy areas are holding the catfish right now. Hey, let's go down the list here. We got Jim Pace, Manuel, Brian, Kevin Overstreet,
Boy, even
Dennis,
Kevin's on. He never.
yep, and Christopher. So how you doing, guys? Appreciate you guys tuning in.
Now we had an odd thing there about Brian says, fresh back from my cast. Well, one of the new things is the new Okuma X reels.
Yeah, the X series.
The X series, that's going to be really good. It's lightweight, super
Yeah.
strong,
They-
and, really nice.
Yeah, they did a lot for the weight. They did a lot of things internally. They were really shooting to make a strong light reel. They're competing with the Stratic basically with that reel. That's what their goal is, and it's a nice. I like the Inspira also. Depending on which one you're looking at, you're talking. The X series is twice the price. It's in line with like a Stratic, 225, and then the Inspira, if you don't want to spend that much money, that's like what, 120,
Yeah,
somewhere in there.
That's a super good reel.
And that's a really good reel, and I would compare that to the old Finor lethals that they don't make anymore. And the Finor lethal was a strong reel, and that's what that Inspira reminds me of. Same price point as the lethal, and same internals. I looked at the schematics, and I mean they really built it up pretty good.
And Brian was saying, yeah, I mean, we went there for years behind Restoration Island to catch bait. It was so easy. Go right from there and got it. But the last 2 years, like something just happened and it just disappeared.
Yeah, and if you remember, there was times when you could pull on that flat and not even chum and just throw the net. I mean, you could just rodeo them with no problem. But whatever food source or something is missing on that flat right now, that those baits are not going there.
You wonder, you think any of that because of all that construction that's going on that point?
No, because it happened before that. Before that, Wally really started.
You just wonder if they might have been dumping some stuff in there, loaded into the flats.
I've even heard people say it was from because you had massive amounts of manatee that were coming through there and eating a lot of the grass, but there's still plenty of grass on that flat. Yeah, so I'm not sure. I'm not sure what's going on there. It's got to be, I would think, a food source.
Well,
I don't know what other, unless there's something chemically going on there that we don't know about. But then you would think.
That's one thing I can figure out because the food source is all over the bay.
But there's still game fish there. That's what's weird. Yeah. The game fish are still there. There's still trout. There's redfish. There's snook there on those flats. I mean, granted, you're gonna have pinfish, so I guess they could be eating those. But now, like I said, recently though, I have seen a little bit of whitebait over there, so I'm hoping that it's starting to come back. Because
that's what I heard today. So one captain was saying that he caught some the other day, but he had gone today and there wasn't there.
Yeah, and that wasn't Charlie, was it, by any chance?
No, I couldn't tell who it was. And then all I could hear this morning was I couldn't see who was next to him, but I heard Bubba, and he pulled up because I was catching bait, and he threw the net twice, and I heard him say, "Ah!" He took off. He got fed up with the little bait.
Yeah. Oh yeah, my net, man. My net went up to like about a 50-pound net.
Oh, I tell you, it's aggravating.
Oh yeah.
You know, because you bring that net up and it's just nothing but bait. You can even
Oh yeah.
anything you grab is
Oh yeah.
little bait.
Donald that used to come to my seminars just tuned in, and we got Scotty Rowe tuned in. Thanks guys, appreciate it. But yeah, that it's like they can't grow fast enough. That's the only thing I can say. And of course, we got some trips coming up towards the end of the week. That's like
Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. I got 3
they're
days.
not gonna they're not gonna grow that fast. I either gotta go further north or go deep for bait. One or the other.
Because I looked further north today since I
Yeah.
have great kids and a lot of small bait.
Yeah.
I was
Then
I could find some, but
then I wonder if they've gone deep into the canals, because they'll do that.
Where would they go? But why would they leave the flats?
I don't know. Because you should be getting a better mix than that, because the amount of good baits we were catching just 3 weeks ago was phenomenal. And now we're in that same area. Like I'm saying, I think because I've seen it before where you get good sized baits, like a huge pack of them, and they'll go like Pinellas Point flat, then they'll come north to the next flat. And I've actually followed them that way and staying in the good bait. So, and it normally goes north. So I'm wondering if above Gandy is where that good bait went to.
But
It's frustrating.
the other thing is we had that big full moon too.
Yeah.
I wonder if that maybe drove the bigger baits deep. I don't know. Or maybe there's so many little fries that the baits don't want to be around them. I mean, I would throw the net and probably catch 3 or 4 or 5 decent baits and then 200 little fries.
Yeah.
That was the problem.
Could you imagine if all those little fry were like 3-inch baits? It'd be one throw and you would be done.
Oh, yeah.
I mean,
those little guys will be perfect. Yeah, I know, because they'll grow in 4 or 5 weeks and they'll be perfect baits.
And that's the thing. They're paying the butt right now, but the quantity is really good to see, because I'm talking, I had them to where they were around the whole boat. I mean, everywhere and thick.
I mean,
thousands.
As soon as I started chumming, there was the sprinkles all over.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Now, you were saying today, too, that some of the bait guys are not even selling the bait because they can't get any bait.
That, or they're just not wanting to run down. I'm sure the Skyway bait is bigger, but he might not be able to run with the boat he's got now. I'm not sure.
So I don't know, because you were talking about that,
Yeah.
Sarasota, either small fry or turbo size pork chops. Yeah.
Yeah. That's what I got. When I went out deep, it was 4.5 to 5-inch baits that I got.
Way too.
So, and then you get sometimes, especially if you got clients that aren't used to fishing on a big bait, as soon as they get a hit, if they pull too soon, that fish doesn't have that hook in his mouth yet.
Most of the time, he's got part of the bait in his mouth and he's running off with it. You got to let him chew it, get it in.
But Brian's saying by September those little guys will be big enough to use for bait.
Yeah, no question about it.
No, without a doubt, it'll be before. I think it'll be even before then that they'll start getting.
That guy today that he just bought shrimp, and he said he caught some mackerel. He had caught some mackerel. He's at the dock. He said, I got some mango snapper and mackerel, but he said the bait's been so little that I just went ahead and just bought shrimp.
Yeah.
There's Kevin says, yeah, it's and you remember you had that you with the catch that you was.
Oh yeah.
Looks like bait is getting healthier for bait. We would love to see the snook bounce back next year. Yeah, that's another thing. What happened to snook? Remember how snook was? We were bragging that, you could go anywhere and catch 20, 30 snook, and now you go, and it's hard.
They definitely made a comeback after that, bad red tide, and it was real good, real good, real good. Now you got to work for them.
Yeah, I don't understand what happened. We had no problem with the snook. I mean, you could go anywhere. Now, today I noticed, too, that water temperature early in the morning was 86.7. And I said, just in case, because I had the grandkids, maybe the mango snapper close to the power plant. Whoa. It jumped up to 94 something. I mean, just turn around and haul buggy out of there.
Yeah, I was up there a few weeks ago and I hit 97 on my meter. I was like, yep.
Yep, yep. It's time to get out of there.
When you take the bait out of a live well and you feel how hot it is, that's pretty bad.
I mean,
So
my granddaughter stuck her head in there. She said, "Man, this thing is hot." I said, "Yeah, we got to get out of here." I mean, as soon as I started going in there, you
yeah,
see a bunch of them started to roll over, and they all come to the surface. They were all sitting almost
or
towards the bottom.
gasping. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I haven't. I normally don't go by the power plant in the summer months, you know,
Oh, I got
but
the Charlie horse.
I
Oh,
got you.
I think it's from the heat today. It got so hot out there, and I was drinking a lot of liquid. Oh, I just got a Charlie horse.
Yeah, Brian says good time to throw some artificials. I throw artificials all year,
I
man.
caught 2 silver trout today, decent ones, at the saltwater assassin.
Right.
Because I had, there was such few little baits. I wanted my grandkids to use them. So I started fishing with some artificials. I did get 2 redfish. We got a couple of redfish, a couple of trout, a couple of mango snapper, a couple of stingrays, a couple of catfish. We got a couple of everything.
Yeah, we caught a lot of mangrove snapper, a few grouper. Trout was not a problem. Trout were doing really well. 2 redfish, and then we got the lady got a slam, and then the husband. It was funny. He was having a heck of a time. He wanted to get the slam. That's all he needed was a snook. We had this one little area where if you made the cast into this hole, you got hit. He missed 5 snook.
Wow.
Either a couple times his fault, pulled too fast, or had the rod tip aimed right at it. We had one monster just grab it, run, and pow, just broke instantly. But it was just not his day. Now he's caught like 30, 40 snook in a trip with me in the past, like a year ago. And so today he's like, I cannot believe that I'm having such a hard time, because he had like 5 or 6 opportunities. He goes, I cannot believe I'm having such a hard time to complete my slam when I've caught massive amounts of snooks
But
with you.
it's not him. It's the snook is not biting like they were.
Yeah. Well, he was just frustrated because he had like 5 or 6 hits that
Yeah,
he actually had one he actually got. It was under the trees. It started splashing. He got it out. It came up, did the head shake, and there went the hook. It was like, ah.
I mean, today we did have 2 big redfish. My grandson lost them. He cut them off under the piling. I had them on, and I couldn't slow him down. It wasn't a snook because you could feel the head. He went around and cut me off too. But that was the only 2 real big hits we had. All the other redfish I got were small.
Yeah. But I always tell people when they have a big fish or something break off, I'm like, well, that's what keeps you coming back.
That's right.
You didn't go back after that one. And matter
Oh,
of fact, when we were done fishing for the day, I stopped back at that spot just to give him one more shot. But the tide was actually it swished. It was going out. It should have been there, but no. They at that point we were done, and so were they. So it worked out good.
I don't know, but did you get rain at your house yet? Because I'm supposed to be getting some here in the
Not
next 30 minutes.
no, not yet.
They say we're getting a big storm in the next 30 minutes. It's coming from the south, so I don't know.
My house is kind of funny. Where I sit, a lot of times the storms go around me. I mean, and it's just weird. But then when we finally get one, we're just inland enough that we get the onshore air and the inshore air where we're right where it meets. We get the worst lightning thunderstorms at this house that I've ever seen. And we had called our insurance because we wanted to ask them about, they have this wind insurance where, like, if you didn't want a whole package and you just wanted to buy wind insurance, they said because of where my house is, and I thought it was just in my mind because I was like, man, these storms here seem worse. They're like, no, where you're located, we don't offer wind insurance because you're in a high wind area.
Isn't that
I was
crazy?
like, are you kidding me? It's like, that's why I want the insurance, But they're like,
When
no.
we were talking, I just had a warning come up on my phone saying rain advisory getting ready to hit us. So, but it was beautiful out there today. It was just a little breeze in the morning, and then it lay down. I mean, just a little breeze, just enough to make it comfortable, but not
Right.
It wasn't
right.
choppy at all.
Yeah. Well, yesterday morning, today was better. Yesterday morning when I went out, they said 5 mile an hour or less winds, but earlier in the morning, like 3 o'clock in the morning, it was way worse. But when I got there, I opened my door and my door pushed back shut, and I was like, and so I pulled my phone out, and it was 12 to 13 mile an hour winds, which ain't brutal, but that ain't no 5 miles an hour neither. And so yeah, it was definitely a little windy at first, and then it calmed right down. The rest of the day was actually got to you wanted to breeze back actually by the end of the day.
The only really good thing today is when I pulled the Gandy, got to where you can wash your boat, and both of the grandkids, they washed the boat inside and out. Oh,
There you go.
my boat is spotless, man. I didn't have to do anything.
That's nice.
That was part of the deal. I would take them out, whatever they wanted, they washed the boat, and they did.
Hey, that's good.
Shall we get maybe? Let's see, who do we have? We don't. Well, we only got.
We got Dawson and Scotty. If you want to.
Yeah, let's get Scotty Rowe.
All right, he had some nice fish.
Yeah.
Hello, everybody. This is Captain Scotty Rowe, Charlotte Harbor. Just had another great day on the water. Definitely hot out there for sure. Woo! Good thing we got out the water at noon. I'm home cooling off, but I will tell you the bite in Charlotte Harbor is just fantastic. Today's trip, we caught a lot of snook. No big ones today, but we caught a lot of them little fellas. Had fun with them. Some beautiful mangrove snapper, black drum. I found a school of probably 200 today, and boy, that was a lot of fun. And I catch those on frozen shrimp, best way to catch them. And I try to buy, if I can find big ones so they're easier to cast, good stuff. Redfish bite, I've seen one of the best redfish bites in Charlotte Harbor I've seen in a couple years. Our biggest fish today was 32 inches. And of course, I was more ecstatic than the clients were. Just good stuff. And we caught many redfish today. And believe it or not, over the last week, I've had some great redfish days, catching 10, 15 of them. And some of my best days were taking the white bait out of my live well, killing it, break it in half, put a little split shot up under the mangroves, just using them as a stink bait. Of course, that water temp's, 90 degrees. Those redfish, they're here, but they're moving slow, and sometimes they just don't want to chase a white bait around. And that stink bait on the bottom is working really good for them. Tarpon bite, we're still getting some of those little juvenile tarpon in some of the Port Charlotte, Punta Gorda canals, and the 10, 20, 30 pound range. Having good times with those. There are some big tarpon still roaming around out in the middle of the harbor. I haven't been fishing them, but some of my other captain buddies have. And they're 80, 120 pound range. They're catching those on bait busters or big redfin herring. No issues catching fish down here. Having fun. Tight lines, everybody. We'll talk at y'all next week.
All right, thank you, Scotty.
Good report. Good report. Nice fish, bud. Got some nice fish. Those
can borrow my grandkids.
He wants to borrow your grandkids.
Hey, but these are big grandkids, the 19 and the 23-year-old.
Yep.
And it's fun when you take somebody out like that. My granddaughter, she's been living in Chicago for a lot of years, went to college up there. I mean, she gets a fish and she's screaming and hollering, and I don't know what to stop it. Oh God, it was fun. Spend some time with my grandkids like that.
Yeah, because you're getting the enjoyment from their excitement. That's the thing.
I mean,
I'll tell you, Scotty, that's the perfect size tarpon right there. You can have a lot of fun when you get into those size.
If you see the one behind me, that was like a 42-incher that I caught one time, and I had it mounted. Just because it was the right size to mount.
Right.
One time I had this big tarpon, but you had nowhere to put it. It was so big. And when I caught this one years ago, I said, you know what? I'm going to have him mounted because he's just the right size. He's perfect.
Yeah. See, nowadays it's kind of nice because you can take a picture, take the measurements. You don't have to kill them anymore. Like way back, you always had to kill them.
The skin mount.
Yeah, and I've only killed one tarpon in my lifetime for a tournament, and I didn't like it. I just didn't like killing it just to be able to place in a tournament. And it was a 1 week tournament, like one week long, and I had first place. I caught it the first day of the tournament, so I had to sweat it out the rest of the week. So they show you, you can go online, you can see where you're at. So I was in first place every day. The last day I was holding my breath. There was about a half an hour left to shut off time. The guy beat me by 2 pounds,
Wow.
knocked me down to second place. I was like, ah, and it was
My wife's uh, cousin, he won the boat in 1963 or 64. They had the big tarpon tournaments in Tampa, kill tarpon.
right, right.
And he caught this huge tarpon by the Columbus Drive Bridge from shore.
Mm.
On the shore anglers, and he was only like 16 or 17. And he won this 16-foot boat with a 40-horse 7 root. I never forget, in a trailer. He caught this huge tarpon, dragged him into the river. He had to drag himself back out. And in those days, it was a kill tournament.
Right.
Put it in the back of your car, took it down to Bayshore Boulevard. And if you remember, you see some of the old pictures, right where the old pirate ships is in that area. They had this big thing, and every day you would see 15, 20 big tarpon just hanging on the hooks that people brought in.
Right.
Tournament. And that tournament ran like 6 weeks.
Oh yeah.
And then you had the big fish off. Everybody that qualified.
Right.
Because I remember I was one of the guys that I don't know what you call them in those days, but I was on the boat with the guy. And
yeah. You were like a referee almost.
Like a referee, and I was like 17, 18 years old, something like that. And I was like the referee on the boat to make sure everything was right. And but they used to kill 60, 70 tarpon every year on that tarpon tournament.
Oh yeah. I with that fish that I placed with, that qualified me for that last, qualifying thing like you're talking about. And of course, that the day of the finale day there, it was blowing like 20, 25, and the fish that I was locked in on were out on the beach, and the wind was coming straight at the beach. It was brutal out. We ended up actually jumping a tarpon. We caught it. We measured it, got it in the boat and all that. And then we had a heck of a time getting it back out of the boat. It was unbelievable how hard it was to get it out of the boat. And we were only, I forget, I think only 4 or 5 tarpon out of everybody were caught that day because of the weather conditions being so bad. So we were proud that we just, got one, We didn't win, but we were one of the few that actually got one that day. But then, like I said, I didn't like killing that tarpon. So after that, I didn't do it anymore.
Well, I guess people realize that, there's no need to kill them. And that's when they came out with, hey, if you want to kill one, you can buy that tag. You allow one tag.
Right. Oh, and they were smart with that too. They made more money with that because the tarpon tournament ran for this many weeks. The tag you could buy started before the tournament started and ended in the middle of the tournament. So you had to buy another one to finish out the rest of it. They weren't stupid. They knew what they were doing.
Oh, yeah. It's smart. Now, let's think about this, George, and maybe get some input from the people out there. The bait is going to get bigger, but what do you do in the interim?
You throw your mirror lure.
Or your saltwater assassin, right?
Yep. You got some of those Mirrodines. They look so good, especially the skin series. And you've got the 3 different sizes. So you could throw that smaller one right now that's still a little bigger than what we're getting stuck with in the net. And that would probably be golden right now. And then in the deeper water, the saltwater assassin, the little PMV, chicken on a chain, 1/4 ounce jig head. That's been working great.
I caught those 2 trout. I had it was like the green with the gold flecks and the yellow tail.
Yeah.
And I caught 2 nice silver trout on in about 5 feet of water with it. because I mean, like I said, I was looking at the bait well. I could see about 100 little tiny baits and maybe 20 that were what I thought fishable. And I just didn't. I said I can't take that bait from my grandkids.
But yeah, there's definitely a lot of stuff you can throw artificial wise right now that, you know, for me in the hard plastics, if you go to Mira Lewis website, there's almost nothing you can't find that would match what you're trying to mimic. And then on the soft plastics, you know, if you wanted to throw, like we're talking about the little PNV for that type of fishing and deeper and stuff like that, but you could also go with some of their sea shads and stuff like that for the flats.
You know the people about, but the old stories about Tampa Bay, and I'm a little older than you, so I was starting to fish a lot, quite a few years before you did, Jordan. But back in the '60s, you were allowed to fish what we call Port Sutton,
Yeah.
Black Docks, we called it, the outwater flow from the power plant, that one power plant. You could actually, although they said no trespassing, they would allow you to fish the canal. And I remember when it got really cold, we'd be out there at 6 in the morning with live shrimp, and there'd be 30 people lined up, and just you keep throwing in there, and we would catch pompano, snook, and everything. And of course, like anything else, somebody had to ruin it.
Yeah.
One day, you know, some people that were going there start drinking because it was cold, and a guy slipped and he drowned.
Oh, geez.
And I think his wife was suing Tico, whatever it was in those days. So then they put a fence up. But for like 5 or 6 years, we would fish that. It was great from daybreak till about 10 o'clock. Then when the sun came up, some of the fish would move out. But right there by the hot water, I'm telling you, it was pompano, redfish, snook,
Right.
everything, cobia. You never knew what you could catch from
Right.
the shoreline. You didn't need a boat. You were just right there. Took your little thing, took you about 3 dozen shrimp, and had a great time.
And really, if you think about it, your husband got drunk, he slipped on an edge, and now you're suing them. It's like, you know,
And the sign said no trespassing, see, but they'd let you do it.
right. Donald said you should write a book
Yeah.
about old Tampa and, you know, growing up in Tampa.
Yeah.
We got Captain Anthony tuned in. How you doing, Anthony?
I can tell you that the old power plant, the one that they got rid of at the north end of
Yeah.
Tampa Bay,
That's a shame.
we used to go there, and that one had a big chain link fence all the way out to the water. But there was
Yeah.
one place you could sneak underneath the chain link fence. And it was like, I say, a 1.5 blocks long from where the guardhouse was. And you knew in the guardhouse when he was coming out, because as soon as he opened the door, this bright light,
Yeah.
because you know everything else is pitch black. And he would come in like a little Jeep or something and drive all the way to the end and back. Man, I used to crawl underneath that fence with a bunch of shrimp in the winter. The colder it got, I mean, George, trout, 25, 30-inch trout, big, a lot of trout, not as many snook or reds, believe it or not, but just big, big trout. And then when you saw that little light open up, man, you ran out, got on the other side of the fence, and you laid down on the ground, and he would come around, go back in. He went out there and started fishing again.
Well, when I was younger, if you remember, I said I started off bass fishing up north, and I moved here when I was 12. So I continued on with bass fishing, just loved it. And we used to sneak into Sawgrass Lake, tackle box, fishing poles, and we used to fish Sawgrass Lake because it was loaded with bass, especially the big lake. And it was nothing to catch 22 bass, you know, in a 3-4 hours. But we would always return them all. You know, we would never keep any, you know, because it was more like a preserve. But I remember the one day, because you have that guy in the little goat cart, the little ranger guy that would come around to make sure everything is so. On the one area that we would fish, there was a big, like, here's where the street is and where the goat cart would be, and then there was like a 6 foot, 7 foot straight down drop, and then the land. And so when we were down there, when he'd come by, we'd get up against the side of the grass and like almost lay into the side of it, and then he'd go past, we'd go back to fishing. Well, the one day, I don't know if it was a spider or what, but something bit me like right where your solar plexus was. And oh my God, that hurt so bad. But we used to walk down the highway. There was like an area where there was a fence and the highway. We used to walk in between the two, go underneath the little fence, and then walk down there. And then when we got to where the lake was, we'd go underneath the little fence and whatever. Well, one day we were walking to it. Here comes two guys coming out with stringers full of bass, and we're shaking our heads. We're like, "Why are you taking them?" It's like this is a preserve. You know, you
Yeah.
can't just enjoy the fishing part of it. But I don't know. It's been a lot of years ago, and then I think about it. Man, there's some gators in there, and we used to be standing there, and the edge that I'm talking about, there was no place for you to go. If a gator come up on you,
That was it.
you're pretty much done. But you know, when you're 18 years old, you don't worry about stuff like that.
What time was that? Nothing.
Last time Manuel went to the power plant was 1998, and he caught a huge redfish. Yeah, there, especially if you do it like if you're on boat, you know, you got them oyster mounds that are right by that power plant. You know what I'm talking about, Sergio, right?
Yep.
And man, there definitely used to be some good redfishing up there.
And I tell you what, West Tampa, Ybor City, there was some terrific. 22nd Street Bridge held a lot of fish. I mean, a lot back in the 60s and 70s.
Right.
In that whole area where now that they got a lot of these, I haven't been to there in a while, but all these derelict ships, and they had ships and they built all this stuff there now. That whole area there, you could fish from shore and catch redfish all the time. A lot of fish. Like
I used to wade like Fort DeSoto. You just drive out there with your truck. I used to wade out there, and I mean, my best day wading out there, we caught 75. I caught personally 75 fish in one day. You know, and it was just like deeper hole, wintertime, and all the fish were in there, and we were getting a few snook, but mostly redfish and trout. We'd get some flounder and sometimes some little grass grouper. Christopher's making a comment there.
Yeah, I was looking at. I mean, there was all kind of, you know, it was just unbelievable the kind of fishing that Tampa Bay had back in those days. All the power line poles that cross, right there by the 22nd Street Bridge.
Yep.
Trout. When you've got a little boat, we would fish around those poles and catch.
Oh yeah.
All the time.
Oh yeah. There were, and not. I don't know about right now because I haven't gone up there in a while, but before that red tide we had, you know, the bad one, that used to be a great spot if you wanted to catch a lot of big trout. There was a lot of big trout.
You know, but right there by the old Sea Breeze restaurant. Yeah, the Sea Breeze on 22nd Street, right behind that whole area.
Yeah.
There's always tons of fish in there. I mean, it's amazing how things have changed over the years.
Well, that and us polluting the water pushes fish away too.
I mean, the Hillsborough River years ago, I mean, it was stacked with fish. Now it's starting to get a lot of fish back, but not like it used to be.
No, you used to be able to run all those walls and the docks along that, and you would always get snook. I mean, there used to be a lot of fish. Look, Jessica tuned in. How you doing, Jessica?
And Mike Mahoney is watching. Hey, Mike.
See, that doesn't show up on mine.
Yeah, see, I got Mike Mahoney and Christopher Yates and then Manuel.
Manuel says he had a 14 Carolina skiff with a 25 Merc, and he fished the North Bay a lot. Yeah, especially with that size boat. I used to go up there I had a small 15-foot fiberglass boat with a 25. It was a 25 Merc on that.
If you remember the north side of the Courtney Campbell, almost towards the airport side,
right?
There used to be the Red Lobster was there, and what was the name of the Mullet Inn? The Mullet Inn. I don't know if you remember that or not.
No, I don't remember Mullet Inn.
And they had this big smokers and the best mullet spread you could have. And the Red Lobster restaurant was there. And right behind the Red Lobster parking lot, there was like a hole right there. And you talking about July and August and September, all these
Talking about the redfish spot?
no puppy drum. I mean
Oh.
puppy tarpon, 30, 40-pound tarpon, which is just you see them rolling all the time. You can go in there and catch these little tarpon all the time, right there.
Yeah. That's like before they now it's slowly starting to come back, but before they tore the pier down, because that's out right in my backyard. But before they tore the pier down, every year we would have tons of tarpon at that pier, and then uh, inside the marina. Inside the marina was nuts the amount of tarpon you'd see in there this time of year, and not just small ones, all the way up to about 125 pounders, and I've seen a few in there this year, which is I didn't see any last year. We were leaving in the morning last week, and we had one roll right in front of the boat, so that was cool for the clients because they were from out of state and they saw it and they were like, I'm like, no, that wasn't a dolphin. I said that was a tarpon.
That's the tarpon. Well, listen, let's get. Why don't we get Michael Dawson's up
All right.
so we don't have to push it. All right.
Hi guys, Captain Michael Dawson here, Patriot Guide Service here at this week's fishing report. So this week the redfish bite is really starting to fire off. All that fresh water entering our system from the rain, cooling us down a couple degrees and gets these redfish fired off. Cut bait on the bottom, water temperature is still hot even though it is cooling down. It is still very, very hot. So get out here, throw some cut bait on the edge of your mangroves, mouth of rivers, canals, stuff like that, and you should do pretty well. Redfish have been ranging anywhere from 18 to 35 inches. Some real nice fish coming in. And it's only going to get better as we approach August and September here. The more rain we get, the better this bite's going to get. For those guys who want to know about scalloping, it is the best year I've ever seen out here scalloping. Limits in 40-45 minutes. Any grass fly, whether it's just south of the Anclote River here, north of the boundary, out there by the Key, Dutchman's, out there off the end of Green Key, there is scallops everywhere. Get out there, start looking in the grass. If you don't see them on an incoming tide, go back on an outgoing tide. There's more there. Get out there, have a good time, stay safe, make sure your dive flag's up, and have a good time. Captain Michael Dawson.
Got it. All right.
Nice. Nice fish.
A lot of the people they're out there doing their
Scallops.
scalloping right now this time of the year. So and think about it. It's so hot. It's a perfect time to go scalloping. So a lot of these captains, they kind of almost just stop doing charters and just do the charters for scalloping.
Right. All right. So I wanted to bring up about that Amendment 2, which is your fishing and hunting rights.
Mhm.
So you got to watch out with a lot of these amendments. Sometimes they have underlying things written into the amendment.
These little tag-ons,
Yeah. So
once and you don't realize.
what they want you to see is blasted right up in front in the title, what the amendment's for. But a lot of these amendments are 2-3 pages long, so you got to watch that they don't bury something in there that does just the opposite of what you're wanting. So I was talking with Dylan Hubbard right before the show because he was very involved with that. He helped write it, and what's nice is they brought it down to I guess 3 sentences, and you guys might check this out yourself because I don't want to tell anybody how to vote. Okay, but it's basically for your rights to fish and hunt. And there's been some arguments about we kind of already have that through FWC and other things, but you got to remember this is an amendment, it's a state thing, so you got to watch. But basically, what it's saying is that they can't take away your rights to fish and hunt. But what I want you to do, because everybody needs to make up their own minds, is the website is called Yes On 2 because it's Amendment 2. So it's yeson2.org. You can go to that website. It will show you the exact amendment. And I guess if you dig into it, it actually breaks it down in like a lawyer mind to tell you exactly what those mean. And you can also on that website see everybody that's backing this. Rick Murphy, Dylan Hubbard, Mike Anderson. There's a bunch of groups behind, like fishing groups behind it. Now, what the argument for like the PETA type of style groups, PETA people are saying, oh, you're giving them the right to kill animals, this, that, and the other thing. Well, we already kind of have that. As long as you're hunting to eat, there should be no problem with it. You know, I don't like the big game hunting stuff. I don't like that. I know that, ooh, it puts a feather in your cap, but you just killed something that was really unbelievable, like a lion. Why would you want to kill a lion? You know, stuff of that nature. So go to yesonto.org and read for yourself, and that way you can know, be informed on what you're voting on. And like I said, I'm not telling anybody how to vote. I want you to check it out.
Now, is that yes on two? Is that the number 2 or TWO?
I am not sure. I wrote the number 2. I'm not sure. I hate when they make a website like that because they don't realize. But try it both ways. One way or another is going to get you there. But yes on 2. From what I'm reading, my thing, it looks like a good thing for us to protect our rights for fishing and hunting. But I want everybody to go and read themselves and make their own mind up.
Well, that's something we ought to check into. I'll do that tomorrow. You know. And let's get let me show the pictures of
Yeah, show your
grandkids, and then we'll
yeah.
show you thing. I got a couple of grandkids there that just had a great old time.
Yeah.
Oh, there it is. That's her first stingray. She said she was so tickled pink that she caught a stingray.
That's funny.
No. Oh, take a picture. I caught a stingray. You know, things that we take for granted, to them, it's
Yeah.
the experience.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So and then she caught a first little mango snapper, you know.
Right.
And then she was having a contest with my grandson. And then he caught a nice mango snapper. So, but the whole thing is they had a good time. Then I took them over to Picnic Island. They went swimming for about 15 or 20 minutes. And then she said, "Is there any sharks in this area?" So this little bonnet head and help. Out she came out of it. She said, "Oh, I bet you swimming."
Tons of them. There's 3 behind you right now.
Yeah. Oh my God.
But yeah, that's, you know, we take there you go. You know, and I never take that for granted because, you know, I keep that in the back of my head that a lot of these people, what we see all the time out on the water, it's the first time experience for most people that come out with us a lot of times. And so like dolphin, manatees, you know, all that. And I always joke around. I'm like, oh my God, a manatee. I'm like, yeah, well, I'm a full service, you know, charter guide, you know. But, you know, I'll slow down for the dolphin. I'll slow down for a manatee so they can check it out or film it, you know, because it's all really part of the experience, not just about the fishing, you know.
I mean, that to her, then she saw some dolphins, and
Yeah.
you know, I had a good time taking them out.
Manuel says tickle its belly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, sure.
I always worry about like when I'm using a de-hooker on those guys, if they don't turn around and whip you one time, you know.
But I've got, you see, you got that little de-hooker that you use a lot.
Well, I've got one like about a foot. Yeah.
And
Actually,
you know I feel comfortable with, unless it's a real big one. If it's a real big one, I almost rather just cut the hook.
actually, what I got is what's his name? Larry Fritz. He's got my bigger de-hooker. That time we went out with him, I had that stainless steel de-hooker.
He's got it?
Yeah, I left it on his boat.
Oh, man.
And he's never mentioned it.
Oh, geez.
But I'm gonna have to pick up another one because I do like having that, you know, especially with sharks and stuff like that.
It says yes to, okay. So
It won't let him post the exact website, but put this in as one word: yesonto.florida.com.
Florida.com.
No, I didn't have Florida. That's
It's got to be
strange.
org because it's the government.
It's .org. I got yes on to. Let me try something real quick. Let me just split this page.
Let's see if it works
I'll
out.
try it real fast. Yeah, give me one
Okay, well,
second.
you do that. Why don't we put your let's put your
Yeah.
report on.
Okay, do that.
Hey guys, this is Captain George Hassick coming to you from downtown St. Petersburg, Florida. Well, the bait hatch has happened, so there is a lot of small baits, net wreckers out there right now, so you gotta watch. The shallower you go, the smaller they are, but it's loaded right now on the flats with those. So just watch where you're anchoring up at. There is a mix of bait. You know, definitely throw the 1/4 inch mesh. sometimes, you know, if you can be chancy, I've done it, but sometimes it doesn't pay off. You could throw a 3/8 mesh, and a lot of times those smaller baits will go through and just give you the larger baits. But right now, I still suggest throwing the 1/4 and just trying to stay a little bit deeper in that 4 feet, 5 feet maybe. Or you need to be running out to range markers, channel markers, and stuff of that nature. And there's bigger bait out there, large thread fins, larger white baits. If the current's ripping, you know, you might need a real heavy net. Try to time it right with the current, you know, for what size net you can throw. And on the flats right now, moving water, always moving water, and mix of snook and redfish. The snook are tucked way under the mangroves right now. The redfish are under the mangroves and not as deep in my opinion, but the snook seem to be tucked way under. So you gotta get that bait under or chum them out. Don't be afraid to try some cut bait also. Sometimes that scent sitting right there at the edge of the mangroves will draw them to your bait. The trout right now, I'm catching the trout in deeper water. The shallowest area is 5 to 6 feet off the edges of grass flats where it drops down deeper. You got nice grass and sand patches. And then some of your shell bottoms in that 6 to 8 feet of water, maybe even 9 feet of water, is also holding trout. You know, so don't be afraid to explore a little bit and check that out. There's definitely some mackerel with all the fry bait and small threadfin herring, besides the large ones that are basically bait balling out there, and you'll see the tops of the water. It looks like rain shower. The mackerel are keying in on those. So you could throw a gold spoon around those. You could throw live bait, but if you want to cover more ground, a spoon is probably the way to go. The jackerel, there's still some around. I'm not seeing it as much, but there's definitely still some around. Pound for pound, probably the hardest fighting fish out there. All right, this has been Captain George Hassick. Have a good day.
All right. Okay, George, so what did you find out?
Well, the yesonto.org is not working. And like I said, I just talked to Dylan right before the show, and that's what he told me. He told me allflorida.org was another place, which I'm going to pop that in. And then florida-guides.com is also another spot. Now, I went to the one that Donald posted because it came up, but I don't think this is the one because it's not really showing some of the things Dylan told me where you could see who's behind it, you know, and who's here supporters. Let me see, hold on. Okay, so it does show that too. So maybe he just,
Was
you
it,
know,
which one?
on the yesonto.florida.com one, which is, but it does show who's standing behind it.
So
Florida
it's
guy,
yesonto.florida.com.
yes, but so I don't know. Maybe he got two of them mixed up because there's also allflorida.org and florida-guides.com. I haven't checked those yet. Let me try.
Yeah, he said that yes on two four.
Yesonto.florida.com.
He said that one shows everything.
Seems like it, yeah. Especially if you go up to the top, you know, the little hamburger menu thing, you click on that, and then you can click on supporters to see who's behind it. Florida Sportsman, Florida Guides Association, Everglades, Kissimmee Marine Industries, United Waterfowlers. There's quite a good list there.
Okay.
Florida Fish and Wildlife Conservation Commission's behind it.
Good.
Let me see this Florida-guides.com. Let me see what that one does. So that's basically the Guides Association.
Yeah. And maybe they have a listing there. But
Yeah, you have to go.
I'll use a yes on Florida, yesonto.florida.com.
Yep.
Okay, I'll do that one tomorrow.
Give me 1 second. I'm just going to check out this last one that he told me about. allflorida.org. So that sounds more official there. Let's see what that one does. Nope. Seeing that one didn't come up. So he's got a lot on his mind, and he's got different websites in his head. So he might just be thinking of the wrong thing. That's all.
All right. So we got it. We know which one to do.
Right.
All right. So everybody knows it's yesonto florida.com.
Yep.
And then you can look at it. And if you feel comfortable with it, vote yes for it. And I'll do it tomorrow and see what it looks like.
That way, everybody can make up their own mind, but it gives you, at least you're informed. You're not just voting on a title.
Right. Yeah. Because like I said, sometimes what scares me is you see this and then way at the bottom in little print, they'll add something to it that they want to get past.
Exactly.
That's the only way they can do it is by giving you this, and then they're going to drop something underneath it that they want. So we got to make sure that doesn't happen. Well, today we've had a lot of good people listening in on us, and definitely protects our rights to fish, hunt in the state of Florida. Yeah, because if some of the stuff that's going on, like I'm still all ticked off about the Skyway Fishing Pier, about
how
they limit you in this. Come on, I thought that's our right to be able to fish and to hunt, and people are always trying to figure out do-gooders. Well, you know what? Do whatever you want, but you can't impose. Take my rights away.
Because it's real simple. It's if there's somebody out there intentionally harming birds, then arrest that individual.
That's right.
It's just that simple. And if they say, "Oh, we don't have the manpower," okay, then put up a camera. I mean, there's cameras everywhere. Put up a camera. Even though I don't like being surveilled all the time, but if that's what's gonna make it easier, put up a camera. Oh, there you are.
You're gonna make everybody suffer.
Yeah.
Hey,
now
that's not right.
Donald, I did read that about the different states that were trying to ban fishing and hunting, which is just unbelievable. That's how this country got started. How do you think we got started?
Florida, how much income is derived from hunting and fishing?
Oh, yeah.
Florida? Yeah.
Exactly. Donald saying, just go do your own thing. Leave me alone as long as I don't infringe on other people's rights. Exactly.
Right.
Donald also wrote he liked the birds squawking in the background on my video. Well, actually, this time I had to wait. I just got ready to do the report, and another plane took off. If you remember last time, I had the plane flying in the background.
So George got that bird to squeal at the right time. He had him by the neck next to him.
Yeah. That's what it was, you bird savers. And the worst part is 99.9% of fishermen, hunters are actually conservationists.
Yeah.
Even the hunters, even they think, oh, how can it be? Because they're going to shoot and kill only what they need to eat. The same thing with most fishermen. And we're not out there just, oh, let me scalp a bird and then let them go. I mean,
you like in anything, you always have a bad apple in the bushel.
Right.
It happens everywhere. But it doesn't mean that everybody's bad.
Right. Just like, if there's some guy out there that's a bad driver and he's hitting and killing people, does that mean we got to stop all driving?
Yeah, it's crazy.
Well,
anyway, it looks like,
we are out of time.
All
Imagine
right.
that.
Listen, we want to thank everybody.
Yes.
And it's funny. Today I went to try to get an update on the CCA Star Tournament thing. I couldn't find it anywhere. Last week it popped up. This week I couldn't find anything on it.
Huh.
It gives you past winners. It tells you everything about the tournament. I don't know.
That's weird. It's out there. I'm sure it just was a weird thing.
Yeah. So, but anyway, we want to thank everybody for tuning in to us.
You see what Donald just wrote?
What?
When I took him out a couple of weeks ago, he goes, Henry and I caught legal reds and he caught a legal snook and they were all set free. Which exactly, I get that a lot of times. Or if I get people on my charters that, let's say we're catching redfish and they're legal size, but we've got a bunch of mangrove snapper already. I'll say to them, hey, right now we're trying to get our redfish to come back. If you don't mind, I'm not telling you have to, but if you don't mind, I wouldn't mind you letting them go to make more. And I'd say 7 out of 10, maybe even 8 out of 10 will be like, yeah, Cap, we got other stuff to eat. We can let them go.
If you just make people aware of that, they'll go for it.
Yeah, because they don't know any better.
And by the way, we always got to do this at the end of the show. We want to thank you.
Yes.
We're 23,800 and something subscribers. We're going to break 24,000 by the weekend. So we want to thank you very much that we have accomplished, I mean, what, in 16 months?
Yeah.
Gotten
Yeah.
24,000 subscribers. And you know, we're doing really good with the shows. So again, it's thanks to you guys that are passing the word out there. And I'm getting more and more people as I go to places, they say, oh, yeah, I've seen the show. That's a show. So we want to thank you very much. And again, tell all your friends about Monday Night Live. God
Appreciate
bless.
it. Have a good night, everybody.
Bye-bye.